Today I've got two easy to sew dresses to show you, made with knit fabrics. Ta-da! And I'm also sharing how to sew a V neckband that I used for my dress. Stay tuned because this pattern is free and I'm going to tell you how you can get it for free. Hi sewing friends, I'm Karina. This is Lifting Pins and Needles, a channel all about sewing, limitless sewing. Welcome back if you're always stopping by, and if you're new, you will find a lot of sewing content here with very up close footage so you can see exactly the way things are made. Happy New Year to everyone. I hope you had a fantastic celebration. If you do celebrate these types of things, here at home we just had a little quiet dinner and everyone was asleep when New Year came except for my son and I. So very calm, very chilled out family, you know. Still have a little Christmas tree that my mum made outside on a natural pine. That'll get taken down soon, I suppose. To start off the year, I have a pattern to share with you that is free. It's been very popular for many years on the Love Notions Facebook group. It's called Love Notions Pattern Support Group. There's always been a code there where you can get this pattern for free, and I think hundreds and hundreds of people have already made the laundry day tee. Well, I don't know why I hadn't made it before. Just because I was silly. Weeks ago, Tammy decided to now include on this pattern sizes 4X and 5X, which meant that she had to basically redraft the pattern using the block that she has now, different to the block she'd used originally for this pattern. So it's basically a redraft, re-upgrade of this pattern that now includes those sizes and a full bust option that wasn't there before in the older pattern. So it's just a better option for sizing and for fit for those who have a larger bust. If you don't know about this pattern, it's a pattern that is super flattering, has many options. For the necklines, you can choose between a V neckline, a scoop, or a cow neckline. For the sleeves, there's a tank view option. Then there's short sleeves to the elbow, 3/4 length, and long sleeves. For the total length of the pattern, you can make it shirt length, tunic length, dress length. And for all of them, there is high-low hem options as well. So out of all those thousands of options, you can choose what you really want and just get the pattern that you want. That's what I love about Love Notions patterns. And before continuing, I wanted to let you know that Love Notions is having a New Year's sale from today the 1st through the 8th, 30% off site-wide. And there's no code needed. You go on the website and the prices are already discounted there so you can see. If you've been waiting for a sale to get some of the patterns I've shown that you've liked, you can hop over there and get them now for less. And if you use my affiliate link that is in the description box to get your patterns, I receive a small commission from that sale. And that helps me out, you know, supports me and this channel. The laundry day tee is for knits. So I think a lot of you love sewing with knits. I like sewing with knits. It's just that it's hard for me to find nice knits that I want to work with. But you know, for this pattern, you need 40% stretch at least, and you need drapey fabrics. So you don't want to be doing this with really thick fabrics that are not going to fall nicely, because it is a swing style with, you know, plenty of ease at the waist and hips. So if you make it out of a structured knit, it's just going to be super voluminous. So, you know, rayon spandex, ITY, modal, those types of fabrics are ideal for this type of project. As I mentioned, the sizes now include from extra small to 5X, has a full bust and a standard bust option. So if the difference between the high and the full bust is 4 inches or more, you'll be better off with the full bust option and you won't need to do a full bust adjustment on the pattern. The size is chosen on your high bust, and the sizes go up to a 57.5 inch bust, 59.5 inch hip now. There's also bicep measurements provided there. If you struggle with your biceps and sometimes need to adjust them, you can know where the starting point is to see if you do need to do that alteration. About the ease of this pattern, depending on the size that you choose, you might find a slight amount of negative ease at the bust. Anywhere from 1 inch to 1/2 inch to 0 ease at the bust. So meaning that your circumference, depending on the size that you are, it might be 1 inch smaller or 1/2 inch smaller than your circumference, but it is a knit fabric, so it's gonna, you know, just follow your circumference, or it's gonna have the same size as your bust circumference. there's a wide range of sizes, so the drafting does differ with the smaller sizes and the larger sizes, you know. For the dresses I'm going to show you, I've made two. One is for myself and I've made a size large dress version with short sleeves and a V neckline, and my sister-in-law's is a tank dress with a scoop neckline, and that's the difference. So I wanted to show you two options, at least not make the same version for both of them. I'll show you my sister-in-law's one first. I struggle with choosing fabric for someone else because I'm never sure if they're gonna like the print or the color, you know. I don't do that frequently. Usually when I sew for my mum, she is there when she chooses the fabric. In this case, my sister-in-law wasn't with me when I was looking at fabric, so I asked her, do you like black and white prints? She said yep, so I chose this one, and it was a great choice because she loved it. So this is an ITY, super fluid and drapey. I would say light to medium weight. It's not the thinnest ITY that I've seen. I think it's got a good weight and it falls nicely. It's got a lot of like nice body for this type of design. And the neckline and the arm side are finished with bands. Straightforward, super easy to make. The hem was done with a twin needle. I lengthened this pattern. Okay, these cats are crazy. I did lengthen the dress for her about an inch, I believe, at the shorten and lengthen line. She is 5'6" and these patterns are drafted for 5'5". So I just eyeballed that length adjustment, you know. Now the front and the back pieces are cut on the fold, and because I made a size small, I was able to cut them both without a seam. You know, the pattern instructions say to cut the front and the back on the fold. That's what you're supposed to do. And because this is a smaller size, I was able to do that in a non-conventional way. And I have made a video showing how I do that when I cut the Rockford raglan, also from Love Notions. And I managed to get mine out of less than a yard, and it's got a lot of swing to it. So I will put a card here so you can see how I did that. It was the same thing I did to get these two pieces both on the fold and fit into 1 meter of fabric, because that's all I used to make her dress. This is my dress, and before I go further, you can see I've chosen the V neckband version, and I've got a sneaky little center back seam to save fabric. And Tammy did allow that to be done during the pattern test. You know, if you wanted to use a little bit less fabric, I will show you how I did that as well. So coming in up close and so personal are all the practical aspects for you. And I've included what I did to add that center back seam and step by step on how to sew that V neckband. That is lovely, super flattering, and I think a lot of us like steer away from them, and they're not really that hard to do. Just a few extra precautions that I take to get it to look really good. So let's hop into all the practical sewing goodness.
Don't you think this is starting to wear on me? You've been rated down like hell. I'm weak.
This is the back of my laundry day tee, and that is the front over there. I have placed that one there on the selvage. I trimmed the selvage off because it was ugly. But instead of putting the back on the fold, I just added on 3/8 seam allowance, and I will have a seam on the back. That's going to save a lot of fabric because I can just place them next to each other, one going up, one down. This is not directional, you know. There I can get my bands, my neckband, my armbands in the right direction of the greatest stretch of the fabric. And this saves a lot of fabric actually. This is the V neckline. I've got the bands just together there, right sides together, two extremes. There is a fold over there. And just to help myself, my fabric does lip a little bit around. I have drawn the seam allowance there in a blue friction pen, 3/8 of an inch there and there to help me sew. I have also hand basted that on just so it doesn't move around. After sewing this is actually where the V is going to be on the top. So from that line there to where the fold is, I have divided it in two in order to divide this distance into quarters all the way around. So there is another mark under there, and the center back will be there. So I've done that first before putting it onto the top. I'm going to divide the neck line into 4 as well, so that I can match these reference points to that while I'm sewing that. But first I'm going to deal with the V. Once I've sewn this critical area onto the neckline, then I'll deal with the rest of the band. So I've sewn this V. I'll just take out these basting stitches, and now we need to clip into that there, just up to it as close as you can, but not through it. There, you can see that. And now we need to just open these little seams and then fold this onto each other to form the V. So that there, and then onto each other there, and there is a V. Now I'm going to meet this seam with the other seam here, and once I've got that all nice and tidy, I'm going to trim off all these little bits there. What I've done is hand baste these two seams together, and that would just keep them as one unit without them shifting around, and I don't have to worry. So that seam there is matching the seam under there because it's been hand sewn together. Just huge basting stitches, you know, this will be removed afterwards, but for now I'm confident that's not going to move anywhere. Now I'm going to remove these, and now I've got this unit here ready to be sewn onto the neckline. I'm going to fold this wrong sides together. Here are the references that I had when I divided my band into 4. So I'm just going to be placing a pin there for now because I'm folding the wrong side onto the wrong. I'm losing my reference points. So here's the V part. In essence, I've divided my neckband into 4. Here is the center back, and here I have 2 other pins to mark the other quarters. So 1 quarter, 2, 3, and 4 right there. So I'm going to put this aside and then mark quarters on my neckline, and then I can put these together. To mark the quarters on the neckline, I have the center back here. I have a cheeky little seam that I was authorized to do, but this is the center back, and here's the center of the V. So I just match that and then get the neckline there, and there I have marked the middle of that. So it's not where you have a shoulder seam or anything, it's just right there, sort of on the front neckline there, and the same on the other side. So for the neckline, I only need 2 pins basically because the center back seam is a reference point. Then we have that one, then we have the V, that's the other reference point, and then that other one there. And that's how I'm going to match up quarters on this neckline. But first, I'm going to stay stitch here. I'm actually going to draw the seam allowance here on the wrong side like I did on the neckband. I'm going to draw that and stay stitch that so that it's protected and it gives me a reference to unite these. This is the wrong side of the V neckline, and I have drawn there the 3/8 seam allowance, and I'm going to stay stitch there. I'm actually going to stay stitch about 1 millimeter inwards, so almost the seam allowance, like 1 millimeter short. Okay, so that's done, and now I have to clip into that one. Clipping into this V will allow this seam to extend right up to there, maybe 1 millimeter more. There. This is the neckband, and I have placed a pin through it, and actually you're not going to measure from the tip down 3/8 of an inch. If you did that, you would end up with a smaller seam allowance on the rest of the band. So from here to there would be about 3/8, then you'd end up with like 1/4 of an inch seam allowance here. So you need to consider it's 3/8 of an inch seam allowance for the band. That's coming there, and that's going to reach around this point there. So this is the point that needs to meet where I clipped on the neckline. So I have the neckline, that is where I have clipped. This is going to meet that place where I clipped. This pin goes right there. You can see where it's coming out right there. I'm just going to match these here on the side. There. And then this one here. The band is at the bottom and the neckline here is on the top. You can see all these pleats forming here in that center of that V. This is where sewing this bit is just going to take a little bit of precision. What I'm going to do now is hand baste that there so I'm not dealing with pins. I think pins can get in the way and just shift your things around. So if I can avoid them, I will happily. So I'm not going to sew a lot of this V, probably just an inch here and an inch there, not much more than that. And I'm just going to sew within the seam allowance here. And I'm going to catch this right there, almost on the seam line, but not really. If you can see what I'm doing. V-neck lines are beautiful, and I think just taking a tiny few extra steps is so worth it to get it looking really precise, you know. Okay, so you can see where I basted there and there. I have this pin going through that I can get rid of maybe, or I'll leave it. I might just leave it there. This pin just references the middle of the V with the middle of that seam on the other side on the band. So you can see that part where I clipped into there, it's sort of like extended here. So I'm just going to sew on top of that stitch right there, about an inch from the point there, that way. And in this part here on the left where I have a lot of excess, I'll just be careful. There, and now I can move this way, keeping all this excess there away from my needle. That's why I'm hand cranking. I really don't want to make a little pleat there if I can avoid it. Okay, so to cut these and then turn this around, see how it turned out. Here is the V of the neckline that matches the seam of the neckband of the V. So I think this is pretty successful. So on this side, you're just going to see this little bit there. Under there is all that clipped business. I didn't get any puckers there or little pleats because I was really careful to sew slowly. And I hand wheeled those little areas there. So now I can just match up the quarters of the neckband to the quarters of the neckline and sew the rest as per usual. Okay, so I've got the right side of the neckline there, raw still, just the V line here at the bottom has been attached and the neckband on top. This is 1/4 matched with the neckline. You can see the neckband is slightly shorter than the neckline and it has to be that way to bring it in and not having a gape. So I'm gonna hand baste this. I'll just be stretching it out slightly so that they are the same size while I hand baste. And you can see from this one there, there's also an excess on the neckline, you know. So I'm just going to take the time, hand baste this and then sew it at 3/8 of an inch and then serge it. Here you can see the neckband has been hand basted on. You can see the neckline a bit wavy there because it is slightly larger than the neckband, but it's supposed to be like that. I have tried this on and the length of the neckband is right. It's not short, it's not long, it's just right, you know. So now I'm just gonna sew. Now the machine I'm working on at my mum's, it has a zigzag. It has 2 zigzag stitches, but I can't regulate the length. So one of them is just too big and the other one is just a little bit smaller. So I'm not doing stretch stitches or zigzag stitches. I'm just going to be stretching this slightly as I sew with a straight stitch. And it'll be fine, you know, I'm not going to be like stretching this area of the dress. So it'll just be a straight stitch everywhere. So I had sewn part of the V, just partially, and I'm just going to start there where I stopped and just keep sewing and using a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, slightly stretching this as I sew with a straight stitch. I got this fabric at the fabric shops in Santiago when I went to this like textile area. This fabric could be also used for swimsuits. It's that type of material. Like, I'm sure if I get wet in this dress, it'll dry like really fast. It's also light to medium weight. It's got a nice drape to it as well, and black, red and white is a combination I love. So for mine, I just chose the short sleeves. I had intended to actually make a tank version for myself, but because I was doing a pattern test, I did want to test the fit of the sleeves. So my intention was to put on a sleeve, try it on, give feedback, then take off the sleeves and do the tank version. But I ended up doing the sleeves, liking them and keeping them, which is not common for me. But you do need something with sleeves sometimes. It can't just all be sleeveless, you know? So I lengthened mine considerably. I am much taller. The intended design of this dress is to be sort of short, at least from what I see, a good 2 to 3 inches above the knee, and I'm much taller than the drafted height. So I ended up adding about 3 to 4 inches of total length to this so that it hits me above the knee. That just happens because I'm taller, and I'm used to doing length adjustments like that because I'm just made taller, you know. Super fun make, super easy, fits amazing. I feel amazing with it. I've already worn it and I need to make more of these for sure. Probably not the cow neckline and the winter versions. I'd probably stick to the summery ones because those are the ones I'll get most wear out of. If you already have this pattern, the older version, in your Love Notions account, you can just get it from there. But if you've never had it, never downloaded it, there's 2 ways you can get it for free. Through the Love Notions support group that looks like this. You can join the group and you will see a code there in the group. If you're not on Facebook and Facebook isn't your thing, you can go to Love Notions Instagram page that looks like this, and there's a little circle there that says highlights. If you tap on there, you'll see some stories, and in one of those is the code to get the dress for free. So those are the 2 options. Yeah, take advantage. It's free, it's awesome, it fits amazing, and it's a great pattern. So don't forget about the Love Notions sale. I will link below a playlist of all the garments I've made using Love Notions patterns. They are a whopping 39 videos. Just, you know how much I love the brand. This is the Salon sweatshirt that I made in a mesh that I made a few months ago. Perfect for this weather, a bit chilly in the morning. Quite chilly actually here in the morning. So I'll leave you with that. Happy sewing. I will see you again on Friday with a very, very special video, different. It's taken me ages and ages to edit, and I hope you enjoy that. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you still haven't, tap on the bell so you don't miss when new videos go up live. I will see you very soon. Bye, happy sewing.